following program is intended for a mature listening audience. Graphic and explicit language may be heard at times. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily express those of this station or sponsors. Listeners are advised that neither this station nor its owners and agents shall be held liable for the content of this program. Rebroadcast, redistributed or reused without express written permission by host or producer is not allowed.
This is the Debbie Perkins Radio Show. And here's your host, Debbie Perkins.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Hollywood Red Carpet Radio Show. And I'm Debbie Perkins, and I'm your host. I have an amazing guest this evening. His name is Jason Brooks. He is not only a signature actor as Jason in Vengeance and now Roseblood, which is we're going to get into because there's so much to Jason and his characters, but he's also been in more than over 20 to 25 plus more movies. And he's basically climbed his way right up the ladder in multiple avenues. He is a director. He is a costume director, an artist, a writer, a producer. He does his own stunts. He is an assistant director, cinematographer. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You have such a great resume. That is impressive. Now, I'm going to take you back because we've got a lot to talk about as far as like what you've done recently. But I kind of want to tap into the Jason that you are, Jason Brooks, as a young person. Did you see yourself, for one, did you ever see yourself as a young man being an actor? And what inspired you to follow that direction of career?
Yeah, so actually as a young man, I saw myself in movies, but probably more behind the scenes. I was very shy growing up, and so I like doing art, I like doing special effects. So that's kind of where I started, was doing costumes and special effects. And then as I got older, the acting side became more appealing to me, and especially playing monsters and things behind the mask. Was very fun. So I always kind of made those kind of costumes. And when I was working on the films, got asked a couple times, like, hey, you're a big guy. Do you want to be the monster in this film? Absolutely. So I did that, and one thing led to another. So I absolutely saw myself working in movies in some capacity, always been creative, but never really anticipated something like this.
That's amazing. And I imagine if you were a little boy now and you could look into the window of the future, what would you say to yourself?
Stick to it. Don't listen to other people who want to bring you down. Don't listen to haters. Don't listen to people who don't believe in you. Just believe in yourself, and good things will happen.
I think I agree with you on that one, because if you work really hard, things tend to follow in suit. So you did some really cool things. Now, where did you actually grow up?
I grew up a little bit, mostly in Seattle, in the Seattle area, but there's a small town called Puyallup in Washington that I spent most of my years in, with a few years down in Amarillo, Texas as well. So.
Oh, it's beautiful country over there.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And it also helps that you're near a lot of the filming studios down in California.
Haven't been too close there, so haven't been able to take advantage of that.
Oh, you will be when they find out, really. But I love it that you're doing so many amazing things. And I did my homework about you, because you are a multitasker. You started in filming doing different things, and because of that, you evolved. And what were some of the first things that you did in filming that has actually still stuck with you today?
Camera tricks, I guess. Just kind of the first time I could get my hands on a camera, I started trying to film some things, little home videos, and I immediately started trying to do special effects. One effect I think that a lot of filmmakers have done and go to is the whip pan, where you throw something in one scene and then it whips over and it looks like it sticks inside of a person on the other side, and some things kind of carry on and stay. That's one of them. But just always trying to create something visual. I like costumes. I like the way characters look, and I think that's just as important as the dialogue or what the actor brings to it. It's part of the character. So those are things that I always was interested in, and still sticks with me today. I really want to see somebody visually interesting as well as see their performance and in an interesting location.
That's incredible. I love this. You've traveled some to do some of your filming. Where are some places that you've been to so far that you really enjoyed?
Let's see. West Virginia. Surprisingly, that was a very fun one. I've worked on the Barn Part 2 out there. That was pretty fun. I'm working with Linnea Quigley and Ari Lehman. That was great, and it looked like that could lead to me working with Linnea again. So it was a fun set, fun time, great to hang out, and then also Pennsylvania, did some Snowfalls work out there. But yeah, I think West Virginia was a blast.
It's a beautiful place. I've been there. I've been to Pennsylvania as well, and I thought it was very different. The way the houses are structured and the soil on the ground is very different from the soil that we have. There's got that red powder, and we have like totally different type. And it was like all the houses are made out of that stuff. So I think it's really interesting. Pennsylvania is very old school, old town. Yeah. So now with your career, how did you decide on specific? Because I know that when you start out, you take pretty much any gigs that you can get, just so that for one, getting your feet wet, learning the project, trying to figure out what you're doing. And when you first started out doing the filming, how did you choose your decisions as far as characters for yourself?
It really was just, I was interested in being a part of anything. I wanted to learn, and people who are already working on movies, independent, big, small, they already knew more than me, and I wanted to know more. I did research. I was always one of those guys who watched behind the scenes of every DVD or Blu-ray I owned. I really was fascinated by the process of making films, and the moment that I started meeting people who did it, I just wanted to absorb, and so got on there and absorbed and just started building up from there. So I wasn't in a place, honestly, to pick and choose. I just saw an opportunity and jumped on it. And then even if it was a small production, I would love to lend my skills or my talents or anything that I could do to help improve it or make it better, with permission, of course, not stepping on any toes, but just what can I do to contribute and make this more fun and fun to watch? So I did a lot of just jumping on whatever I could, because even on the smallest, cheapest sets with inexperienced people, there's still always something to learn and something good to come out of it. So it wasn't until more recently where more projects started coming up, and it became about time. Like, what time do I have to dedicate to a project? That's where I started to pick and choose. And definitely things that felt fun to me, I would jump on, and something that I feel like I could learn and grow from, I would jump on.
Now, I have a couple questions from people that we know mutually, and I'll ask you those later, because one of them is from our friend Peter, and the other one is from our friend Michael. And they had some questions for you, which was really funny. I get a kick out of this, because these guys, and they're good people, hardworking guys. So I'll wait till a little bit later to ask you about those guys. And I know that they're listening because they said they would. But I think it's really neat that you got to do so many incredible different movies. What was some of your favorite films that you did, or characters that you enjoyed playing? And which one do you believe taught you the very most?
Oh, Well, Jason, of course, is it's a favorite one. It's taught me a lot in so many ways, but I'll get back to that one. Another character was my Louis character a lot of people know Louis from Vengeance, and he's the drunken hillbilly character. He actually came from another movie that I was making, that I wrote and directed prior, called Happy Trails. And in that movie, I needed to have a kind of an old, grumpy store owner who's in that scene. And so I was working with my DP, Ryan, and we were talking about casting. And I said, hey, I kind of described him. So he sent me a couple pictures of some, kind of heavy set trucker looking guys. I'm like, no. I just couldn't describe what I was looking for. So I threw on a fake beard, a cowboy hat, went in my garage, and my son filmed me doing the lines as that character. When I sent it to my DP, Ryan, he's like, Jason, you have to play this character. I was like, no. I'm directing. I just would rather direct somebody. He's like, no. This performance you just did, that character is gold. You got to be that character. So I toyed with it, and I finally decided, okay, fine, I'll do it. And it was a lot of fun, and it taught me a lot about getting outside of my comfort zone, because, like I said, I grew up very shy, and I'd always hide behind a mask, whether I was doing like some Lucasfilm stuff with Darth Vader for some shows or concerts and everything like that. I was always behind a mask, and that's the first time my face was shown, and I was able to really let go and be part of that character, and that really opened the door for me in a lot more ways. So that's my other favorite character.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. And it's funny that you say you were behind the mask, but then you're kind of getting stereotyped as the mask man.
Yeah.
Which you could almost make your own mask serial killer on your own. And it's what I thought was ironic is that you carried the same name, same first name as one of your favorite characters.
Yeah.
And how you ever got involved in that, we're going to be talking about. But I just want to cover a few more things with you, because you're not just Jason. I mean, you are, but you are so much more than just Jason. And if anybody's listening and they don't know who Jason is, Jason played in the Friday the 13th Vengeance. And now it's going to be a new movie called Roseblood that you're filming in. And mm-hmm. I've seen some trailers for that. Really scary. Really, really scary.
Okay.
I have no idea if I was caught with you as that character in a real life scenario. I don't know how I would be able to take you out. You're extremely tall.
Yep.
And that helped with your character. But I also watched a couple of your a couple things that you were in, and you had to learn. Well, actually, you did it really well. You had to learn how to breathe, hold your shoulders, how you had to walk. How do you do that when you're? Because there were so many different people that played Jason prior to. How did you train yourself to? Did you just imitate them, or did you do your own thing and it just fell in place?
Yeah. So I got two answers to that. One is in Vengeance, where this started. I spent so many hours researching all the different actors who played Jason, watching every movie, watching how they move. And then I started watching interviews with them to talk, to learn as they talked how they would get into the character and how they would embody it, so that when I'm doing my scenes, it's not going to match up exactly with what they've done in the past. So I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, like, well, if they were doing this scene, what would they do? And then when I was filming with Steve Dash, I was always at his house. He played Jason in part 2 with the sack on his head. And he was in our film. When we were filming with him, we stayed with him in his home, and he called me over one day and said, hey, I want to talk to you. I know you've studied us. You've done a lot of research and time, that's out there. It's in the interviews. I understand that. And he said, but I want to talk to you seriously. He said, it's respectful that you want to honor all of us, and you really want to do that. But if I can give you one piece of advice, take that and throw it away. Don't do any of it, and just be your own Jason. He said, none of us Jasons have ever mimicked another one. We always did our own thing. So, like CJ Graham, Jason Part 6, he didn't copy me. Kane Hodder didn't copy CJ. Nobody's copying each other. And that's why everybody loves their version of, different versions of Jason. Everyone has their favorite. and there's a reason for that, and it's because they're all different. So he said, please just be yourself. And so I took that advice to heart, and I did. I kind of tried to let go of everything, and then what was left behind, I think, was just the combination of all the different pieces that I loved from the different Jasons that I saw as Jason in my growing up and watching them. And so that's kind of what came out. And so I get so much positive feedback on it, like, oh, you remind me of Kane, you remind me of CJ, you remind me of Ted White, you remind me, and I remind everybody of their favorite Jason because they see little nuances that I've done that just kind of have come out naturally now after all that process. But
now you're their favorite Jason.
Pardon?
Now they can be your favorite Jason.
Yeah, and I get that a lot, which is amazing. I mean, it's one, to even be mentioned in the same sentence as these legends and actors who portrayed them in the franchise. To be even mentioned is an honor. But then some people say, well, you are my favorite Jason. And it blows me away. But with Roseblood is a direct sequel to Part 7. And that was played by Kane Hodder. And Kane Hodder fans are hardcore Kane Hodder fans.
They are. I know Kane Hodder. No, I don't know him, but I know of him, and I knew people he worked with, like Rick. What's his name? They were ghost hunters at one time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you knew that,
yeah.
But he was the Hollywood Ghost Hunters. And I interviewed Rick McCullen and R.A. Mahaloff. R.H. Mahaloff. I'm sorry. He was in the Hatchet. But those guys all kind of knew each other. And this was like 10 years ago, 11 years ago when I interviewed him. And I thought that, Kane Hodder has just done nothing but get hotter and hotter as far as his career goes.
Oh, he's awesome. He's amazing. And yeah, nothing but great things to say about him. And just the shoes to fill for him, it was incredible and an honor again to portray him or his version of Jason. And going into Roseblood, I had to kind of take my Vengeance Jason, put it aside, and rethink how I'm playing the character because, like I said, Kane Hodder fans are big Kane Hodder fans, and when they see Kane Hodder looking Jason, they want to see Jason move like Kane Hodder. So I had to really get into Kane's head and get into that mindset and kind of become possessed by Kane on that set. So because people are going to watch that, they're going to know that it's a Kane Hodder Jason, and they will be upset if it's not. If I don't move right, if I don't breathe right, if I don't turn right, it's gonna ruin it for people, and I don't want to ruin the film that so many people put hard work into. I had to do it right.
I understand what you're saying and I think it's because people get so wrapped up in what they think is the particular character. But what we know about Jason is he was a child. And when he originally had his first incident in the first movie, he was still a child. And then when they spun it to his mother, that just blew my mind. I mean, I think that's probably one of the scenes. I think I told Peter Anthony, I said, one of the scenes I saw in the movie, the very first one that never left my brain was the refrigerator with the heads in it and his mother hugging at the end. And it just stuck with me. It's one of those things, So how does it feel to be part of a franchise that is so massive and so well received?
It's surreal. It is surreal. And to be kind of taken in with open arms by the alumni, by the other Jasons, by the other cast and crew members. I'm good friends with so many of them. And, I get nervous going in being in, the new guy in this fan film Vengeance and Roseblood and how they're going to see me. But I'm just blown away every time by how they open up their arms and they're like, you did an amazing job. You've represented the character well, the franchise well, the way you are with the fans, the way you are with other people. It's wonderful. I mean, it's like I said, surreal. I'm standing in the green room. I'm at conventions, signing autographs, and I'm just like, this is really happening, and people really value it and they like it, and it's just amazing. I had no idea. So,
well, I'm looking at your room, and you have quite a collection, and you have a lot of masks, And I'm wondering, of course, you've put every one of those masks on, without a doubt. Now, do you fall into character a little bit when you wear the masks? Does it give you like a going back in time a little bit? How does it feel when you put those masks on?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, these are all the masks you see behind are screen used masks from the film, from different scenes and different films. So, but when I put them on, not so much, because if I have the hood on and the skin, the costume, then I can get into character pretty quickly. But just putting the mask on by itself, it's a little bit loose and wobbly without all the other stuff, so it doesn't quite put me there. But it's when I do look at it, it's fun. And the thing is, it's odd, like seeing myself in the movie as Jason. I don't see me, I see Jason. And seeing the costumes here on the mannequins and seeing them hang on the wall, it's really hard to kind of piece that together in my mind that was me. It just really feels like it's a different person that I'm watching.
They're so elaborate, the costumes, and they're so well done and so well put together. It's almost like artistic, the way they've created your character with a costume, as well as you have to act like, but you're not, you don't have any speaking words as Jason. Everything you do has to be performed with hands and your actions. Mm-hmm. So that's a different type of character than being on a set with a serial killer that can speak.
Yeah.
Your speaking role is pretty much nil, but yet your acting ability is based on what you're doing.
Exactly. You got to show emotion. You have to show anger. You have to show confusion. You have to show all those things without speaking and without facial expressions as well. I mean, that's
a lot of people can't do that, though, Jason.
Yeah.
A lot of people, it takes them years to learn it. So I think that's incredible that you were able to not only create, you've reinvented this new Jason, which I think is great because it goes with the costumes. And I love that you kept the kill scenes. I think that's great. I did myself. I kept a bloody shirt from one of my scenes. So I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. I feel good now. I feel good, though. Now, there's a lot of blood in your movies, isn't there? Lots and lots.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
13 gallons. You know, that's a lot.
It is.
I'm wondering, is that a Guinness Book of World Records yet? Because it's pretty darn close.
No. I believe that, I can't remember which film it was that claims to have the Guinness Book of World Records on the blood. But in talking with Nick Strawn, who was our production designer and first AD on Vengeance, he also worked on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4, Blade, Leatherface, Candyman, all those movies. He with Blade, they used way more blood than the current record. And so
that's a lot.
I wish I could remember how much blood it was.
Oh, yeah, a lot of blood. I mean, I imagine being the guy making all that blood.
Yeah.
I think it's great, though, because it adds so much to an actual murder scene because, without blood, you don't have your gore, and you need the gore. But I love that your characters are so scary looking. Their facial features are just above and beyond what the new, because it's been, how many years has it been since the very first one came out? But your character is not based on those other characters. He's kind of got his own thing. He's kind of his own, even though it's on the same fan lines, you know what I mean? But the fans are coming out in droves for you, aren't they?
They are. And the Vengeance one's based on Part 6. It's just an evolution of Part 6, just a little bit more run down and worn and in the water for many more years. And Roseblood was based on Part 7, just towards the end where he's burned in the end. So some of the costume is missing, and he's got some burn marks. So they're evolutions of the films that they're sequeling. So
the last Jason movie I saw, he was coming down the stairs, his mask came off. His face was super distorted, but he was still a young fella. Your character is based around a middle-aged man, which I think I think just by his stature, by his years in the water, like you were saying, his decay, but he still has an evil energy source that keeps him going. What do you think that is that continues to keep this Jason alive?
Yeah, I think that there's a few answers to that. I mean,
can we take a quick break and you come back with that answer?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back, everybody. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Pat Benatar. I'm a musician and a mom, so you probably won't be surprised to hear that I think it's important for kids to get a chance to learn music in school. Why music? Well, music education provides students with the skills and knowledge they need to succeed in school and in life. Learning to sing or play an instrument helps a child develop creativity, critical thinking, math, literacy, and teamwork skills. Schools that have strong music programs report higher graduation rates than those that don't. Learning music is even associated with higher education and income levels later in life. For today's students to succeed tomorrow, they need a comprehensive education that includes music taught by exemplary music educators. Make sure your kids have the opportunity to experience the benefits of learning music. Support your local school music programs.
A PSA brought to you by the National Association for Music Education. March is music in our schools.
All right, take me back, hold my hand, all the way back to Brotherland. Take me back, I wanna go back. Oh, I'll take me back in my funky ass band, all the way back to the Brotherland. Take me back, let's go. I want to go as fast as I can, sliding on back. Brotherland, take me back, take me back. I wanna go back. Lord, 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 Lord.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. And this is the Hollywood Red Carpet Radio Show. And I'm Debbie Perkins, and I'm your host. And I am here with Jason Brooks, who is the infamous Jason from Friday the 13th Vengeance and Roseblood and so much more. I can't even tap into all that stuff, Jason, because you got so much on your profile. But that's what makes you so well-rounded. And I wanted to ask you, I know that you're based around a lot of horror, but what are some other types of filmings that you like doing?
Yeah, comedy. I love comedy and sci-fi. I haven't done too much sci-fi. I did one kind of horror sci-fi movie, but I would love to do more of that. And comedy is just fun. It's always a good time on set. People are always happy, so.
Comedy is great. I mean, trust me, you probably will get into a comedy, but it would be a nice change in a way, because we'd like to see your funny side, what your funny bone's like. And I think that would be great, because it looks like you totally would be well received. You're a very handsome man, so that's a great favor to have, especially when you're doing comedy. Have to get you in touch with some real funny people.
What's funny is I do have the Louis character from Vengeance that everyone knows and loves, and
I saw that guy.
Yes. And
he's so believable.
Thank you. I've been asked to be in 6 other films as that character to kind of bring a comedic touch to it, and so. And everyone, and he was made to be kind of an ugly, despicable, unlikable character, but for some reason, everyone thinks he's a lovable, likable, sexy character, and I just don't.
Because he's relatable.
Yeah.
There's so many people grumpy, and they grow their faces out, and maybe Duck Dynasty had something to do with it. I don't know, but all I can say is, I do think that you would do great as that character. And why not make him his own movie? Because he could have his own life. And
I've heard that so many times, yeah.
I think that's, great minds think alike. So that's a definite. Now, I wanted to talk to you. We missed our question. I know we had a question before the break.
Oh, yeah.
I totally blanked it because we were having fun on the break. All right, let's talk about your costume. Okay, you have some really cool stuff behind you, and those are costumes. And for what everybody can't see, I'm looking at a full gear costume, 2 of them actually, and one looks like it has a full neck and head, and then of course the uniform. And so it's like a ripped shirt, a couple of ripped shirts, look like a bloody shirt underneath, a belt, a tool holder, which probably holds every killing device. He's got a couple of gloves and some really stained up pants. Now the other one on the other side looks to me like it has ribs, a chain. What is the difference in your characters there? Because I believe one was for Vengeance and the other one was for Roseblood, maybe.
Yeah. So the one that you described first, that's the Vengeance costume, and that's the hero costume I have on the mannequin back there. That one is based off of Part 6, where played by C.J. Graham. And Vengeance being a sequel of Part 6, we had it look a lot like that. It's just a little bit more weathered and worn and aged. And then on the other side, with the ribs showing, that was from Roseblood, which is a sequel to Part 7, where Kane Hodder played Jason for the first time, and you saw the exposed ribs and bones and everything. So different styles of costumes because of the sequel. From each of the different movies. So we just kind of carried on the look of each of those to pay tribute to those.
I think they're really great that they did them differently. I like that they did them differently because it kind of shows that this character is multiple types of, because it's just great. I love it. I love the artistic work with them. Wow. Now, when you wore the costume that, now I kind of watched your interview. You were really, really overheating in that, like getting really warm. It was a lot of hours based on it. Could you talk a little bit about what it was like when you had to, you were filming for hours on end in this particular costume. What was that like for you?
Yeah, so in the Roseblood costume, that one, there's a lot of latex and silicone, and it covers a big portion of my body. So putting it on takes two people for sure. I can't get it on by myself. It's very intensive. Takes maybe 20 or 30 minutes to just get the costume parts on. And it's fitted. It was made exactly for my dimensions, sculpted to it. So it fits like skin. And it's a little bit hard to move sometimes, but it looks great. So but it was, yeah, once you get that on, you're kind of stuck in it for a while. And I think I spent, what would we decide? 14 hours in the costume, maybe 16 hours in the costume. And just, it's uncomfortable. It starts pinching in places, in the armpits areas, under the arms, in the back, the neck hurts. So it becomes uncomfortable over time, but definitely worth it. And then the Vengeance costume, that one as well. It's not as uncomfortable because it's mostly cloth, but it definitely gets warm when you start putting that silicone over your head and you're wearing that for long, extended periods of time, and you got the hockey mask on top of the silicone. It blocks your nose, so you have to breathe through your mouth for hours, and then you put the hockey mask on top. And then when you throw yourself in a lake or underwater in a pool,
That's what I was going to ask you about, because I seen the scene, a small scene, in your trailer where you're under the water, and I'm like, how the heck is he doing that in that costume? I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult, but all I can keep thinking in my mind is just get it done. The scene will be really cool. The shot will be really cool. So just get through it. And getting in the water, it's 32 degrees outside. And it's freezing. It can be miserable at times, but again, you're like, but I'm so blessed to be able to have the costume on and be able to be the one wearing the mask in the film. So it helps keep you warm a little bit.
That's really amazing. And they did a good choice by picking you, because you're very humble about what you do. And I find that really interesting, because so many people get these big projects and then it just goes directly to their head. You use these projects to create more projects, which I think is so amazing, because you're not only doing something for us, the public, the people who are listening and watching and enjoying, you're also helping people to help them with their careers, to do more in the filming industry.
Yeah. I mean, when you work with somebody and they do an amazing job and they work hard, you always want to work with them again and bring them back and promote them. And I've always said it, like, there's a bunch of interviews and different things. I've always talked to people like our old director of photography, Dustin Monteith. I always introduced him as, he's our DP. He's the guy who makes me look good, because he's the one who's filming me at the right angles, in the right lighting. And in fact, the entire cast and crew is there to make me look awesome. And if I'm just standing around in a costume somewhere in the woods, that's pretty lame. It takes a whole crew with lighting and smoke and fog and cameras and direction. It takes an entire crew to make Jason look awesome. And I'm the one who gets to get all the credit and be awesome, in the costume. So I'm grateful for all the people.
I think that it's awesome in itself, because if I seen that thing coming at me in the woods, I'd just probably die right there. I wouldn't even let him kill me. I just dropped dead from fear.
Right.
The fear would kill me alone.
Yeah. And then we have Cody Newton on Roseblood. He's the director of photography on that one, who's making the Roseblood one look epic and awesome. And I remember having this uncomfortable costume on, long hours, and it's like you're moving and it's hoping it looks good. And then he shows me some playback footage, and it's like, wow, that looks amazing. You made me look really good and powerful. And so it's fun. It's fun to have these people who are there to make your character come to life. And yeah, love everyone who's involved.
So cool. I think it's so cool. Now you got a question. Actually, you got a question. I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
And it comes from the director, Peter.
Oh yeah, Peter. He directed Roseblood.
He did, and he said to me, he asked me to ask, what did you think of him directing you?
Of course.
I know. That's why I'm like, I'm going to ask him. So, Peter, Anthony, your question has been asked.
You know, I have nothing but good things to say about his direction. Going into it, this was his first project, and if I'm being transparent and honest, I thought I'd be helping him direct and giving him some direction on directing. I thought that I'd be coaching a little bit, but he knocked it out of the park. I mean, he was spot on, and he really pulled through. And even the seasoned professionals, Laura Park Lincoln, Terry Kaiser, they all wrote really wonderful thank you notes and special letters to him to tell him how good he did. The entire cast and crew was just gushing about how well his set was run, how well he did, how he pulled the team together. And then for me personally, I told him, like, no matter what, like, and Peter's a big Kane Hodder fan. And so if there's anyone I'm going to disappoint, it's going to be him. And I told him, I don't want to disappoint you or the fans. If I'm doing anything wrong, make me do it again and again and again. I will do it 1,000 times to get it right, because I'm not going to get it wrong. And I can't get it wrong. And we did almost everything in one take. Only, like, I can think of maybe 2 things where you said, nope, let's try it again. Let's do it this way. But I respected it. I was never upset, never thinking, no, I did it right. You're crazy. I always respected his decision and his input, because he could see what I can't. And he knows the character as well or better than I do in many ways. So having the direction from him was awesome, and it's easy to take his feedback. And he was so kind to every single person on that set. And his input was delivered very kindly as well when directing. So if he was doing something again, I would absolutely be there. No questions asked.
It must be interesting to meet the different characters that had played Jason before you. I know you had to do a lot of studying to make sure that your character fit the guy that you're acting. You know, you wanted it to fit as best you could. Who are some of the past Jasons that you actually did get to meet?
Yeah. So the first one I met was CJ Graham, and I met him at his house, and we did an interview. We're talking, and we had a very similar conversation where I was being nervous, you know, and I said, he said he can't wait to see me up there with all those other Jasons, and we're going to have a great time, and he's going to take me under his wing and everything. And I was like, I'm just happy to be here. Like, you guys are epic in the franchise. You know, I'm just this guy in this fan film. And he stopped me, and he's like, I don't want to ever hear you say that again. I was like, well, what? And he said, are you putting on this costume and this mask? I said, yep. Are you making a feature film? Yep. And he said, are you doing your own stunts? I said, I am. And he said, you're doing every damn thing that I did. Everything that any of us Jasons did. You're doing the same exact thing. You're in a film, a feature film, you're putting on the costume, you're doing the stunts, except you're doing more. You're doing some special effects, you're doing graphics, you're doing some costumes, props, wardrobe, you're doing all these things. I don't want to ever hear you say you're just this person. You are one of us. And so that was my first experience with one of the Jasons. And then Steve Dash, like I said, where he said, throw this out of the window, be yourself. He said, I've seen you perform. I've seen how you play Jason, and it's absolutely perfect. It's wonderful. And he says, you've got what it takes. He says, I tease you because you're so big, but you've got the right size, you've got the right stature, you've got the right movements, you've got what it takes to be Jason, and I want to see you on the stage with every single one of us every time we're up there. And that was amazing to me too. And then Ari Lehman, the very first Jason, the child Jason from part 1, I've worked with him a couple times, met him several times. He's great too. And we get along really well, stay in touch on occasion. And he's been very supportive. And so it's just been really great to support each other in all this, and to, you know, he's somewhere and all of a sudden my phone starts ringing and it's CJ Graham, you know, and he's calling me to check in and say, hey, I'm in town, let's meet up. And I'm just so blessed to be in the same company with these people and talking with them, and have the other Jasons who I haven't had an opportunity to meet yet know my name. And when it comes up, they're like, oh yeah, he was in Vengeance, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's
overwhelming, isn't it?
It is.
It really is. Now I got a question for you. If you could be, now this is going to be away from Jason for a minute. If you could be a superhero or a villain in any comic book type, what would you like to be and why? And you can be a villain, or you can be a hero, or you can make your own up.
Oh yeah.
You'd be surprised what people say.
I would always be the villain. they've got cooler costumes.
They do.
I would love. There's two things I would love to play. One is Darth Vader. I would love to be Darth Vader. I did that for so many years for so many events, and I'd also love to be Toxie, the Toxic Avenger. I met with Lloyd Kaufman in West Virginia, worked with him as well in the Barn Part 2, talked for a long time. We got along really well, and we talked about that a little bit. It's just, that would be a fun character to play because he's kind of the anti-hero, or a hero, but kind of looks like a villain. That would just be really fun. And of course, Michael Myers, I'd love to do that.
Well, if you want to do Michael Myers at some point, hopefully they can do a fan film. Sandy Johnson's a friend of ours, and she played the original Judith, the first girl that got killed back in the 70s. So she wants to be a killer. I think it would be great. You and her going up against each other. Oh, my word.
There we go, yeah.
That would be a mass killing. that would be huge. I know you didn't want to spend much more time, so I want to do this quickly. Let me see before I go crazy here trying to learn what I'm doing. Now we talked a lot about your costume and everything. Now, what would you like to do in the near future? I know that you're going to be working on more Friday the 13th, but what would you like people to know about that you're doing that they don't know?
Yeah. So right now we're in pre-production for Vengeance 2 Bloodlines, the sequel to Vengeance. We have a Kickstarter up right now. You can find that on Kickstarter by looking up Bloodlines. And that's going to be, like I said, the direct sequel to Vengeance. So that one's up. It's going. We've got some amazing people in there. We've got CJ Graham returning. We've got Tom McLaughlin. CJ's wife, Ruby Graham, is going to be in it. We have Tamara Glenn from the Halloween series, Halloween 5. She's going to be in that as well. Darcy DeMoss, who was in Part 6, is making a return. And then some other surprises that I can't really say yet. So it's going to be a fun ride. The teaser is going to launch tonight. So keep an eye out for that. Oh, yes,
that's right. It is. I saw that.
Yeah, the Friday the 13th or F13 Vengeance fan page. Go follow that. You'll get. You
guys got to do this. You got to listen to him. It is tonight. I saw that.
Probably
I think it's
30 minutes or so. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And not only that, but I wanted to do a quick mention about the gentleman who made your costume.
Mm-hmm. The Rosebud costume?
Yes.
Yeah. Marcio Charlie, yes.
Yes.
Amazing artist.
Gentleman from Brazil. He's a friend of a friend. And I wanted to make a quick mention about him just because.
Yeah. It's worth it. I mean, he's
it is worth
talented.
it. He's incredible. Look at that costume. I mean, just look at it. Just looking at it. I mean, you folks can't see what I can see, but I'm telling you something. You do want to not miss this movie. These movies that Jason's in are they're going to be epic. They are epic.
I mean, you could go find the trailer for Roseblood right now on YouTube. Just look up Roseblood Friday the 13th. You'll find the trailer. You can see the costume there.
Wicked scary. Yeah. So if you
fun.
for all you horror people out there, wicked scary. Make sure that you are ready to go to the bathroom or whatever in case you get scared. Just make sure you have a pillow so you can hide your eyes. Trust me, it is that scary. Jason, where can people get in touch with you?
You can find me on Facebook, F13 Vengeance fan page. You can find me on Instagram, the Jason Brooks Official, TikTok, the Jason Brooks. Find me on all the social media platforms. You can get in touch with me on all of those. I have a Jason Brooks actor page on Facebook as well, where I can interact with fans there. So definitely go check it all out. Like I said, the Kickstarter going on for Bloodlines right now. There's only about 8 or 9 days left until that's closed. We've already exceeded our goal, and now we're hitting our stretch goals. So everyone who orders stuff is going to get more stuff because of the stretch goals. So it's a pretty good time. And then, like I said, the teasers
for people too. There was a guy that got chosen to play a part of Jason. Yeah. Was that weird for you, or was that kind of cool that you got to share that spot?
Oh no, it's fun. Yeah, like we had it in Vengeance, and we also had it in Roseblood. It's a good time having someone else come and put the costume on and kind of walk them through how to move and what to do. And they quickly learn it's not all it's cracked up to be, and it's not as easy as it seems. So, they kind of get the costume on, they're excited, then all of a sudden a couple minutes later it's like, ooh, this is hot and uncomfortable, and I can't see, and let's get this thing done so I can get this off. But yeah, it's a good time. We don't have that on this round so far, but we might consider it. So,
it's a perk, and I mean it comes with the donations and stuff, and I think that's great. So everybody, please help donate to this amazing film. You'll be a part of history. And
absolutely,
Jason, thank you so much. It's been a really amazing pleasure having you on tonight.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I would love to have you back when you've completed and things have come out, and we can talk more about that. And if you have any other projects coming up, keep us in the loop, and we'll be happy to help you with that. And with that, thank you so much. You have an amazing evening.
Thank you. You too. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. You can hang up when you're ready. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this evening with Jason Brooks. He had to go because, remember, he just had told you in about a half an hour he has that big thing going on. And so I told him that I would let him go a little early so that he could complete his mission today. What an amazing gentleman. Mark, what did you think of that interview?
I really liked it. It was really good. I kind of wish he could have stuck around a little longer, but I understand. He also sounded like he was really tired, because we all know that before I came on the show and that tonight, I don't know how long he had to drive to get home in order to get on, but he did text us saying that he was on the road.
It's a little,
so yeah.
But fun. I did not expect him to be that amazing of a gentleman. Really impressed with his ethics, his just work ethics, just incredibly nice. But I wanted to thank everybody for listening, because what a great guy, really cool. And trust me, if I did take a picture of Jason talking with us tonight, and I'll put that up on my Facebook if anybody wants to see Jason and his costumes. They're just so elaborate. I always wondered about people that have to wear costumes to do film. I mean, it's one thing to act in a regular outfit. It's another thing to act with us, like he was saying, in a costume that about killing him.
Yeah.
But
well, who do you have next week?
Who do I have next week? Let me see. It's funny because I've got people back to back to back.
Do we have some models coming up this time? or some more musicians?
Oh, wait a minute. Somebody sent me a musician. Hang on. Let me see what I got here. I have to look it up. See, that's how it is. I have people being booked left and right. So, and that's my fault. But I love it.
I've been getting a lot of good feedback from people that liked Doug McCarran's music that he sent me.
He's such a nice
quite
guy.
A few people told me, wow, this is really nice, this is really good music, where did you get it and who is the artist? And I passed it along, and I was like, well, he was a guest on one of the shows in the Debbie Perkins show, and I was like, and he sent me like almost 2 full albums of music. I was like really impressed. It was like probably about 24 or 25 songs that he did.
Oh,
that
no
was
kidding.
Great.
So I have the 26th. I have Ray. I'm sorry. I have hold on. Maikol Reister. He is a film director. He has a film that he had Nicolas Cage in recently. So it's called Death House. So if wherever Nicolas Cage goes, it's going to be a big production. He's pretty cool. He's been, let me see, he's got...
Well, we all know who Nicolas Cage played. Nick Cage played, that's right, Ghost Rider.
Oh, remember Ghost Rider? That was a good movie.
He was the Ghost Rider.
I got that movie.
Yeah.
He was a Ghost Rider.
Mm-hmm.
I know I got June 9th. I have Lee Onsberg coming on, and for all of you that don't recognize his name, he was the pirate Pennell in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh yeah, we've had him on before. He's a great guest.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes, this will be my second time interviewing with him, and he is a super good guy, really cool, a really nice person. And he was in Once Upon a Time, which is a television series, if anybody got addicted to it. It was about Snow White, and he played Grumpy, the grumpy dwarf. He also played the drunk from the town. So that was really cool. That was he's just a great actor in all, you know. Let me see. What else do I have? Gosh, I whip him in, whip him out. Oh, I do. I get so. But I got a few people that want to come back on, of course, because they're doing things finally, and yeah, we love that.
Who?
But what it? Oh gosh.
Are you getting Joan Nakamoto back? That'd be great. Joan V.
Oh, Joan. You know what?
We need to get Joan back. We haven't had her on in so long.
Oh, I know. Joan was one of my. I think when I first came back on to Dragus, Joan was my. I believe Joan was my what?
First or second guest.
First or second.
Yeah, because I had her on my show, Cypher AGM, quite a few times, and you were like, "Hey, I need a guest." I'm like, "Hey, I know exactly who you should get." Because she's, an alternative model. She owns her own magazine, and she's been on shows with me in the past. Yeah.
She's got a lot of different, amazing different style.
Mm-hmm.
I do admire her taste in her costume. Is very, very, very beautiful.
Exactly. Well, Deb, guess what?
What?
It's time to say goodnight.
Is it really?
Yeah.
All right.
So tell them good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for a great time with you. All right. We'll see you next week.